and gentlemen, everyone around and in between. It is Debate Sensei CEDA Edition. We talk about things relevant to competitive debate for the Cross-Examination Debate Association. I have with me the Director of Debate at California State University, Long Beach, Devin Cooper. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, excellent. Hey, remind me again, what is your new position in the association again that you just got recently?
So in the CEDA organization, I'm the second vice president, which means in a couple years, I'm going to be the president of CEDA. So,
okay.
Since I have to host the CEDA tournament, the national tournament, and do all the business throughout the year for that.
Okay. Oh, do you play a role in the final topic wording or anything selection?
Well, so this year I can attend a meeting, which is ironically happening now, but it's like I don't get a voting role.
Oh, okay.
I don't get to vote until next year when I'll be the vice president. And I think I'm also going to be hosting the topic meeting. Possibly.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the topic this year. So the topic area has been announced. Our last episode, we were going over the different areas that they were going to select from. Tell me a little bit how. So we had 5 topics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So now that you, out of those 5 topics, how is it whittled down into one?
So we all do a ranking of 1 through 5 for each topic. So every school submits a ballot that ranks each topic 1 through 5, and then it goes through rounds of like till we get to like the final 5th round ranking to see who has the most 1s or 2s. And so I think it was very close for Latin America.
Yeah. Like, so financial regulations didn't get anything in the first round. So
nobody won that.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We were kind of like, look, you could debate it, but it's a little squishy.
Courts almost got in there.
Courts almost got in there.
Yeah.
They made it to the 2nd round. I see that. In round 2, Latin America and energy was tied, and then but the courts missed it by like 3 votes, I guess.
I feel like I should have reevaluated how I submitted the ballot. My students wanted me to put energy first because they knew everybody else was going to do it, but I was like, I'm not doing that. I like courts, so I put courts first. I probably should have put Latin America first. It would have had more of a chance.
Yeah, because then it would have been at round 2, right? It would have been, it might have tipped it one way or the other. Still, by round 3, energy had 27 votes. Latin America had 24. That's a pretty close vote. That's pretty close.
It is.
Yeah. But we're talking about energy. So I guess people can go and scour their back files for all their, from this year and beyond. For all that nuclear talk. I'm sure it's going to be back up on there.
It is.
All right. Cool. Anyways, so we are doing the energy topic, but now it's in the actual writing stage where you take the topic area and you transform that into a specifically worded resolution that people are going to use. Let's start with, when does that wording get released?
I think it's going to get released in July sometime.
July. Okay. So the meeting that's happening now and between July, what's happening?
There's a committee of folks that are deliberating on the different wordings and the way that the topic could be interpreted and debated, and what ground do each side have. Is there like a good level of disads and counterplans and, critique ground and all that good stuff? But based on what wording they choose, well, they're going to give us an option, a slate of topics. Usually it's like 5 or 6.
Okay.
And then that's going to trigger another vote for us to vote on which topics people like, which resolution.
So is it going to be the same sort of ranked choice system that they do? Okay.
Yep.
And they always come out with 5. They're no more, no less, or is it?
It could be less, but
Okay.
I think it depends on the year. I'm pretty sure there's always going to be more than 3. But it could be up to like, I remember one year there was like 6 or 7.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and it was all like these different wordings that were like a list, but it excluded one thing or included another thing or had an or didn't have it. Like, so it was like that.
Yeah. So who gets to be part of that committee? How open is that meeting process?
It's mostly CEDA, the CEDA board folks. They select the topic committee that will do this. I'm not 100% sure if the topic committee is open to everybody. I mean, it could be based on it being Zoom now, or if you're like, if you happen to be like, well, not all of it's Zoom. Some of us, didn't go to Kentucky to do it. So quite a few people did. So that's a thing. But I myself, I didn't go, because I didn't have a vote, but also I'm still teaching classes right now. So
yeah, right.
That's the thing. But I think if you happen to be in that city, I don't think they'll be like, oh no, you can't come in. Like,
okay. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Gotcha. And when they're writing it, what do you expect to come out of the committees? Or the committee, I should say. There's not more than one. Specifically, is like, are you expecting them to develop a list, or the and or thing too? Do you think that's a possibility this year?
I think this year there could possibly be a list. There could be a list based on the mechanism or the particular policy that people might want to implement.
And so it said energy climate. It's a more specific topic area than that, though, and I'm forgetting how that breaks down. It's not energy. Is it energy production or?
Excuse me. It is. It's more so like an energy policy.
Okay.
In the direction of climate.
Okay.
But I mean, all that will be very much so shaken out.
Yeah.
Like within 2 weeks or so. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be revolving a lot around energy and how we try to reduce the levels of emissions and the use of fossil fuels. I think it's going to be all kind of boiled up in that topic in itself. So it's kind of like an amalgamation of like almost all of the fossil fuel greenhouse gas topics we've had so far.
Okay. So there we go. We have a topic area. What do people start doing now with just the topic area?
Well, I think first of all, they start looking at their back files to collect all of the old things and probably putting it in their Google Drive or their Dropbox. And they're probably sorting those things that could be relevant and putting them over into that file section. The other thing too is that people are probably looking at the current controversies or areas that exist right now in that particular arena to figure out what is the uniqueness of like, disad scenarios or the uniqueness of like a particular policy, or what is an overarching policy that might have an effect on the topic in itself.
When I was talking with the NFA folk, they were saying that he preferred at this stage to find books, to like long form sort of information, because a lot of the research during the season was about finding articles, and so like this kind of gives you a foundation. Does that resonate with?
So I know particularly from my team,
Mm.
what I've done so far is I have scoured a lot of databases. I've hit up my friends from elite universities to get access to like a bunch of different articles and books. And I've also done some interlibrary loan books throughout school as well, which I'm still waiting on some of them. I've collected almost over 150 like articles
Mm-hmm.
and books combined, and sort them into like 6 different folders on our Dropbox. And so hopefully what that means is that my students will be incentivized to read them as opposed to, just willy-nilly doing their own thing. So it's just like
Right.
I've looked, like literally, if I'm looking at this right now, I have sorted everything. I sorted stuff into Blackness articles, capitalism articles, climate articles, eco-abolition articles, energy and environmental justice articles, feminism and gender articles, and full books.
Okay.
So I've
Full
done like
books.
quite a bit for them already.
Right. Right. Right.
So hopefully that yields
Okay.
something. And I don't know if other coaches are doing it that way. Maybe some might have less of an extensive collection. They might have their students do that. But on the front end, I think ever since I became like a full-time coach, like at Fresno State, I've done this like just about every year for my
Okay.
students. And even like when we get to the middle of the year, I do another
Oh.
scrub of like the internet and put stuff in the Dropbox to see what they're gonna do. Like right before the NDT last year, I probably looked up like 60 different articles and stuff that was relevant to their arguments to see, what would be useful. So
Mm. Mm. You have any predictions about like the policy end, not necessarily the critical end? What direction is it fairly predictable case
it
areas
is.
that they might be coming? What do you
It's
think?
pretty predictable. Like I know at least there's going to be maybe a case about carbon tax,
Okay.
like run
Carbon
of the
tax.
mill.
Okay. Oh man.
Yes. They're probably also going to have like the cap and trade policy.
Okay.
That's going to be a thing. So cap and trade is pretty much the government puts a cap on how many emissions that a certain industry can emit, and businesses are able to trade these permits based on how much they emit into the
So like
environment.
there's cleaner industries that will have credits basically, and they're able to. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's trying to like reduce like emissions like kind of locally, and it lowers, the levels pretty much around the world. And it's like I think it's pretty still messed up because it is still allowing people to emit,
Yeah.
right? But it's just like you just do it at a certain cap that the government puts out.
I mean, there's already some sort of program in place, isn't there, about
Yeah,
that?
it is,
Okay.
but they're probably going to try to improve it
Okay. Yeah.
and regulate it more,
Okay.
or also change the amount that's capped.
Just like like lower the overall cap. All right. All right. Um, it seems sort of incremental for a problem that's a little bit more significant in my mind. In my
Yeah, but they get access to all these different advantages,
uh,
especially international ones, right?
okay.
Like global modeling, as well as like cooperation with like climate things, especially with China. China is going to be a very big part of this topic.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be China, 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 China. So yeah.
I now is solvency more of an argument on a topic like this than other arguments? Because it seems to me that like there's a lot of evidence coming out. It's like we've already passed certain thresholds, and like these incremental changes would run right into just some classic "you're not solving this" argument.
Well, they're gonna definitely be arguing like a lot of the incremental stuff. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
and that's just like kind of what it will be. But there's also some experts that will generally, you know, argue that this particular policy will change to predict the outcome of stuff that scientists are saying are bad with
Oh,
like global
okay.
warming. Like there'll be a lot of advocates that
Okay.
will promote these policies. I assure you that there is an abundance of evidence on all these things.
Okay. Okay.
On the policy portion.
On the
But there's
policy.
also there's critical folks that are also assessing how those policies are operating as well, and what
Right.
kind of negative offshoots they have for like the global south and things of that nature.
Oh yeah, yeah. And low-lying islands, the man, the Caribbean, whew, they just like there's a lot to be said there too.
This topic is definitely going to have an international twist to it. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so I don't even know like what this what this topic would be seen as, because like this is a wild card year. We usually have a rotation of topics like
Uh-huh.
legal, domestic, international, and this is a wild card topic year. So I feel like this is like an amalgamation of domestic and international, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like the policy would be domestic, but the implications are undeniably international, right?
Mhm.
Right. Whereas that might not have been as much of the case on a courts topic, perhaps, right? I mean, it's like there are definitely international implications, but the story would have to is woven in a much more intricate way. Um, so what? Okay, so in this month, people are just kind of spitballing, trying to get their mind around the general area of the topic of energy and climate change, and they're getting geared up for that. What
Mhm.
are some common things that people do over the summer for debate, like especially with camps and things like that? I know there's not too many college level camps.
So there has now been a very big push to have this new kind of novice as well as JV and varsity kind of push to do card debate,
Oh,
which is like you get like they create a library of sources and they give them, to disseminate them publicly, and you have your students, or if you as a coach want to cut the cards, you'll cut the cards and there will be like a way to make them debate like that energy topic, because it's like always paired with policy. So
mhm,
these kids will be debating an energy topic, but they'll have like less times, and it's also less like high powered as like policy debate. It's still policy light though. And
right.
so they're starting to create an online initiative for that, collaborative, which is going to start in August. So, I mean, technically, I would promote it to like all of the other folks that do Parley and
Mm,
IPDA and all that good stuff, because it is like you are doing policy centered debate, like evidentiary debate,
right.
but it is not as extensive as policy.
Okay.
So that's one initiative that they're doing. There's some other camps that are like smaller type boutique camps that exist. But also ADI is the one that is spearheading a lot of that card debate. So I'm guessing what was known as ADI is going to be that. Um, and I'm just a little bit biased because I really want the return of the ADI Debate Institute,
Okay.
the Arizona Debate Institute, because I think it's a good place to send students to get a bunch of skills and to be in lab as college students. But I don't know if that'll ever happen
Well,
again.
what happened to it?
Well, I mean, the pandemic happened, and even before the pandemic, like it was, I think there's some institutional things with Arizona that they can't host until a certain time period of the
Oh,
summer. They also used to have a hotel that they were mostly doing it out of, but that hotel got under new management, and I think the prices, have changed for
okay.
that.
Okay. Okay.
But I mean, I also remember from when I first got here to Cal State Long Beach, that Cal State Long Beach used to do like some little institute smaller. They used to call it like a sack lunch or something. I don't know. It was like for Parley, and they would.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was a name that they had it. It was a name for it, and they
Man,
used to
I
have like
don't remember that.
it was like a little week-long thing they did for training policy people. I mean, not policy, Parley people in the circuit. So
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, we it would be nice to get some more of those resources, especially for people starting off in college. You know, like there's plenty of resources when people start off in high school, right? They
yeah.
and so the people are kind of almost on autopilot by the time they've done a number of years in high school and they move on to college.
I mean,
Um,
for me, I've thought about this. I've thought about making a summer institute that had like for college kids that was based around um, policy, parley, and maybe even LD or IPDA. But I just don't know what the buy-in would be for like a lot of the schools. Like, would they send people? Would they not? Like, that's the thing that I'm worried about is like I can plan and make things happen. Like I can
mhm,
do it. Like I do the Jack Howe every year,
right,
right? And I'm really good friends and have a good relationship with people who are in those departments that will allow me to get rooms and areas and stuff like that, but it would be definitely a day camp. It wouldn't be overnight. So like I would
right.
have to rely on people coming in, on a daily basis to do that. So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't know. Maybe one day.
Maybe. I'll definitely help out on at least brainstorming and organizing and stuff like that. We're local, so that'd be great. Do a lot of college students um, coach at the high school camps in order to kind of keep themselves up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do, but that structure I feel like is very I
Mm.
think it's very like mm, I'm trying to figure out the word to say to be a little bit political,
Hmm.
but I think that structure needs more improvement.
Okay, that's a good way of saying
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
because I think what happens is that they assume because they have students on the circuit of college that have been very, very successful, that that translates to them being good teachers
Mm.
to younger debaters that are in high school, which I don't think that's the case.
No, not necessarily. Like my transition from a competitor into a coach. Now that I'm looking back 20 years on it, I'm like, oh wow, I had a bit of a learning curve on that. It, I don't know if you feel the same way about it, but what it is that it seems like you're trying to extend your competitive career rather than helping somebody else start theirs,
Yeah,
right?
because they just kind of give them their blocks that they had in
Yeah,
college.
yeah,
And I'm just like, that's not like you need to teach these kids how to make them
yeah,
and how to do it. But the problem is that there's a skill deficit where a lot of the coaches, like that are from my generation and a little bit younger, they're just kind of like copy and paste with a
yeah.
lot of these debaters. And it's just like, they shouldn't be doing that. I feel like I misspoke. I think people from my generation and older
Uh,
are folks that are not doing a lot of that copy and paste stuff, right? But that is happening. So I
Yeah, I
don't know.
mean, at some point, because at some point you're like, I am done competing. I don't need, I've got my trophies.
And
I'm
and this
good.
is literally why the research process for me when I was doing this topic, I'm like, I'm going to give y'all a bunch of articles, like hella articles.
Yeah,
You're going to construct the arguments from that, and I'm going to help you make those arguments better once you have decided what you want to do. I'm not going to
yeah,
be like, as a coach, hey, our novices are going to do carbon tax. That's it. Let's go. Right. I'm not going to do that. I want people to come to their own understandings of what they want to debate and how they want to debate it. But you
yeah.
need to be up on the current events about energy policy and climate policy.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same vein there, where it's like you could point them towards good resources, but man, they got to start putting it into their own language, and especially with Chat GPT these days. Like I love it. By the way, I'm a big fan of it, but I think that there is definitely a danger of people just kind of going, well, I guess that's the final draft. I don't need to make any changes to it. It's like, no. You gotta make it your own. You gotta use your own language. It has to be something that is kind of part of you. You know what I mean? It's got to be your voice. Otherwise, eventually people are going to figure it out. After an hour-long debate, people are going to realize at what point you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You know what I mean? It's like you've run out of things to say because you've relied too much on your coaches and AI to feed you arguments.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, like, for me, what a major part of my job is like really teach these students skills and to also teach them to be empowered behind their arguments so that they can understand the process instead of like just looking at the outcome, like, hey, I'm going to be this top team now, and I think that that's kind of the misconception that people get when I don't know, people think that because I'm Devin Cooper, like I am just going to construct everything for my students. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'll just help them get it better.
Yeah.
So,
and a little bit of the background has to kind of seep into the debate, or at least, I don't know. I think it is good when people's background seeps into it. And if you have some 45-year-old white guy feeding you arguments, that's not going to, like, that's not your background. You know what I mean? It does, like, it's going to sound like some old guy wrote your stuff. Like, you're the one who's up in front of the judge. You're in front of an audience. People are listening to you. Don't have them listen to me or anybody else.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. Well, hey, this is our season finale, and I'm so happy that we agreed to do this. I'm pleasantly surprised that we went the entire season too. You know what I mean? It's like it didn't. There was no guarantee that we were going to stick through it, and it was a phenomenal season to do this. So I want to thank you not just for coming today, but all the way back to September.
No, you're very welcome. It's fun.
Right. Excellent. All right. We should talk about, if we're going to do something like this again next season. If you're down, I would love to discuss it. All right. I'll keep in touch.
Yes, 100%.
All right. Well, that does it for us. Jared, this is Devin. Thank you so much, everyone who that benefited from watching this. We'll see you later.